Hey guys, this is Super Tycon. Today I'm going to be diving into the story that was added recently to Hellish Quart. Keep in mind this is one of the side stories, so essentially what Kubel has done is he's just released a chapter of it. So there's still some more gameplay to come. Kubel will be releasing that quite regularly, actually, these chapters of the story, which I'm really intrigued by. And I've already experienced it myself once, and I was pretty happy with what I've been seeing. So I just want to show off what Kubel has added to the game, because it's pretty exciting. I love where the story's going. There was like one or two lines that I thought were kind of cringy. They maybe weren't translated the best. That's often what happens when you're translating from like Polish to English. The subtitles may not always make perfect sense. You see this in shows like, Japanese anime and stuff like that. It's a pretty common occurrence. It's very difficult to translate sometimes, but generally speaking, I'm very happy with the story. I'm happy with the fighting, the historical details, the accuracy. And Kubel just keeps improving the fencing further and further, making it more realistic and more fun, so let's dive into it. As you can see, Kubel has also added this. This is what I like to call training wheels for new fencers. Auto distance, so that the fencers always keep their proper distance. Grappling and pushing is disabled. Boring. I love my, grappling and fighting up close, and it's a lot of fun. But for new players who don't like being, executed immediately, perhaps this is something to think about. Good training wheels to practice your exchanges, to practice your fencing, before you get into the more advanced stuff. I do think it unfortunately disables certain attacks because the auto distance doesn't adjust based on the attack you're doing. It's just a box that is a general rule of thumb as far as what is the ideal distance for the fencers. In practice, of course, it will vary, but it's a good way to practice for new players for sure. Anyone who wants the best experience, though, generally you want to keep this disabled. You don't want to enable it. And there was a misconception spread that this worked on survival that I helped spread on the Discord. It turns out it doesn't. So what happened was, I thought I was able to enable it. I know this is a bit of a tangent, but let's head back here because I wanted to show this. So you click fight, you click survival ranked. So the option appears here. I don't know if it's supposed to appear here, but it does. And you can try enabling it, right? You can check it. And that's what I did when I did my Alexander survival run. But I know for a fact it wasn't actually enabled. And I assume the mode's not even... Oh, look at that. Look at that. This UE England person just beat my score. So I thought I was the top scoring Alexander, and I was for some time. But this guy just came in and took the top spot, so I got some work I need to do. We're not here to do survival, but I just want to show you what I mean by it not working in survival. So you shouldn't be able to grab at all. Pushing and grabbing should just not be allowed, but as you can see, I can attempt to do so. And let's try and see if I can get the grapple. Yes, we can. So just to prove that it does not work in survival, and frankly, from what I've been testing, it's probably a good thing that it doesn't. Because the game just isn't in the optimal state when you're playing without, sort of the default settings. Certain short range moves you would use to get around the guard too, those might not be able to land. So, with all that being said, sorry for the tangent, but I just wanted to show you that new mode that Kubel added. And yeah, let's get back into the story here. As you can see, chapters 1 to 6. I'm going to see if I can find some of the Easter eggs, some of the stuff that people were talking about. Kubel mentioned bandages, too. I want to see about collecting some of those, because I didn't actually collect any, to my knowledge, the first time I did this. And in the future, I'm going to react to the story live, so I'm not going to replay it, but I just figured I would get into the first 30 minutes and see if there was anything worth making a video about. Before I did so, because it'd be kind of boring if it was just like a little preview type thing. But no, Kubel actually has a whole chapter here, so really short tutorial. I hope Kubel makes an interactive tutorial like this that you can just click on maybe, so you don't have to go to the story to do it. And I think revamp the old tutorial he has already in the menu. That'd be really good. Add in some of the points made there and some of the points made here. You've got yourself a really good tutorial then. Maybe give players the option, like, when they join for the first time, they can go through the tutorial. Or at least have it, clearly visible in the main menu. But it's good that you're able to play it as you start the story too, because as Major Cade was mentioning, players who go straight to the story, which is really going to be the core of this single-player experience, they're likely going to be new to the game, so it's good to have a tutorial there as well. That's just my take. Just that it'd be nice to have it in the menu as well. Anyway, walking, that's pretty basic. Using the D-pad, controller, WASD, or the stick like I'm doing, and you can just move side to side, forward and back. Very important. Since fencing is all about distance and timing, knowing how to move is very important. This is how you dodge back. Very crucial if you want to get out of danger. Moving back is also... This tutorial I don't think tells you this, but moving back is how you get out of a grapple. So that's also worth noting. More or less like real fencing, if you want to avoid a grapple, that's kind of what you do. Roughly, you try to get out of grappling range. Upper right is the most important attack. That's something that's kind of intuitive, right? Think of that caveman swing you like doing with a stick or something. Like, that's your Y cut. You're coming down from the right side and you're giving it your best shot, so to speak. So in most fencing styles, if not all, this sort of attack is going to be your most important attack. Besides, I guess, rapier fencing or something where you're stabbing, but... So there are some exceptions to this, but we're using sabers at the moment, so... Y is the most important attack. And I find even with thrusting characters, often they'll have a Y thrust that is fundamental. So, I think it holds true in this game for them as well. So, Y, that is just coming straight down. X, coming from the left side. Jacek has a cool one where it's like a snap cut. So, some characters have a neutral snap cut, but not very many. Isabella is actually one of them, depending on the foot forward. But Jacek, from right foot forward, has this default X cut, which is really nice. Then there's the B cut. Kind of powerful, actually. It does a big loop like that. Then there's the A cut. Again, really quick movements. That's what Jacek's all about. Some people were complaining about Jacek's damage, but it used to be too high. He used to do a lot of lightsaber cuts, but Kupol fixed that. So now, the fast attacks that he has have disadvantages to them, but you can get quick hits in with them. So they have benefits, because they also keep you safe. But he still has these big motions that you can do, like this one, for example, if you really need that kill shot, and you can also parry and riposte with that move. Alright, as for special attacks, many characters have, of course, several special attacks. Most people know, watching this video will know this by now. But just to demonstrate them. And this allows you to switch stance. And then you do that. It's pretty cool, the forward XX. Jacek has a lot of neat combos like that. As for blocking, when you don't attack, you automatically block the incoming attacks. Works even when you walk. So, it does work when you walk, but of course, if I were to walk to the side, I'm surprised you didn't hit me there. Jacek has a pretty good guard, but I was trying to... Yeah, he basically hit my arm there. I'm not sure if he can even hit me in the tutorial, but if you do move to the side or present the opponent with an angle, or they get an angle on you, you can get past the auto guard pretty easily. Yeah, some players think auto block is too good, but I don't think it is, really. Many characters have clear gaps in their defense, and there's many ways to get around it. You just gotta play more, get experience with the game, and it gets easier as you go. Canceling attacks to block faster. This is a bit more advanced, and I like that Kupol added this here. It's still pretty easy to perform. You throw a cut, and then you come back to guard. You can either cancel in the wind-up phase, or you can cancel after you've thrown the cut and come back to guard, like so. This allows you to defend really quickly. So you throw your cut, and you come back, and you can do it. You can even just cancel the cut altogether and not throw it, so you can change how you commit to the attack, and oftentimes what this does is it prevents you from being doubled. It allows you to cancel your attack and come back when you feel something's going wrong, stuff like that. Alright, so proper distance. I like that he's shown this here. This little box here. Basically, you want to stay roughly in this box, and you will be safe. Largely, of course. If the opponent gets closer, that's where you start getting the danger. But of course, it will vary based on the attack. And I think this is essentially the box that the new mode, the proper distance mode, uses. Very good rule of thumb. Your opponent also automatically blocks incoming attacks, of course. When he doesn't attack, he'll block your strikes. Just bashing at his weapon is not an effective fencing tactic. You know what's funny is the first time I did this, I just hit Jan a bunch of times, and the game was like, try that again. You're not supposed to hit him. You know, like you're doing a HEMA drill or something. I'm just talking at the moment, so ignore this for now, but yeah, it's kind of funny, but it just demonstrates that auto guard is not this overpowered, unbeatable thing some people make it out to be. At the highest level, at the competitive level, auto guard is kind of trivial to get around, as you'll see time and time again in many tournaments. So anyway, basic fencing tactic: parry, riposte. To find an opening in the opponent's guard, you gotta wait for them to attack. Well, and then they'll block his strike and quickly attack him before he returns to his guard position. Try it as now. I hit him somehow, apparently. I haven't seen this, because usually you just complete the tutorial right away, but I was kind of rambling on. I hit the opponent by striking at the same time as him, or by accident. Sometimes it will work, but this is not reliable or safe tactic. I'd say generally speaking it is unreliable, yeah, if you're just mindlessly swinging. I think if you set it up right, though, you can do a good single tempo. But I don't think that's really what Kubal's talking about. I think Kubal's just talking about throwing random swings, in which case he's absolutely correct here. So I gotta press any button to retry. I haven't seen this before, but you can apparently fail it. I thought the game would just let you keep trying, but fair enough. Yeah, as you can see, Jacek is very good at these. Just, you parry and then immediately hit the head. And so defending a riposte, what if they do this to you? You can quickly press back to return to blocking, which is kind of what we were discussing. You can do that cancel thing to parry. So, like that, if you move back, you're more likely to get back to guard in time. Now you know the basics. Watch the mechanics to learn, of course. Good that Kubal mentions this. There's like blade binding, that's long guard. You generally need long guard to block thrusts. That's the general rule of thumb. Taunting even, yeah. All of this is in the tutorial section in the main menu. But I like how Kubal sort of just, if you wanted to skip the tutorial, you're still kind of forced. So there's kind of a logic to what Kubal did. So Kubal can keep it as it is if he wants, but there's kind of a logic to it. He forces you to take the tutorial the first time around, regardless. So that way you at least know a thing or two before you go in, and you can't complain. Also, what is... I've never seen this before, but Jan is doing some kind of twirly thing with his hand. It's interesting. Alright, let's press start to continue. And I like how he gives you a moment just to look at the new moves. There's some really cool new moves that Jacek has been given. Yeah, like the... There's a new thrust, for instance, from Long Guard. Far thrust is what it's called. Which is interesting. Go around, go around. Yeah, there's all sorts of neat stuff here. Magic attack. It's a funny name. I haven't actually looked at his moveset in a little bit, so a few things surprise me. Double spring, that's like he does one cut that's really fast, the regular wide cut, and then he does a big cut. So, a lot of cool stuff, and I think the hand shot's new, but I'm not sure. Let's start the adventure. I've wasted a lot of time talking, I apologize for that. Not much story so far. And I just gotta say, like, immediately as we go in here, this is my second time looking at it, but it's such an immersive looking city there, like, really well put together. Keep in mind, this isn't an open world game as such, so obviously you gotta tame your expectations a little bit, but I gotta give Kubal credit for the design of the city. I wonder if he based it off any paintings or depictions we have from the period. Because oftentimes a developer who's really concerned about getting it right will do that. And I know Kubel did that for the fencing arena, so. Alright. So at this point, we're dueling against Tarnowski, just having a little bit of a spar. And so far, going really well. That was a double. I like that new thing that pops up when you double, so. Essentially, the game makes it really clear it's a double. So there's no doubt. I'm surprised that Frost missed me, actually. That's okay. So far, pretty flawless performance. Now that I'm more used to Yaz's moveset, I seem to be doing much better than I did earlier. Nice, so he has an X-cut combo as well, where he transitions stances. So I think something really cool about Yazek, of course, is that he's got really good neutral attacks that let him transition. Tarnowski has that too, but Tarnowski does these big cuts. So anyway, I'll try not to talk over the cutscenes too much.
To teraz zapraszam do środka tę sprawę omówić. Chodźmy, chodźmy.
Most of you watching have probably already seen this anyway. But definitely the second part, I'll try and zip it and just listen to the story. Sometimes I cannot stop yapping. It's just how it is. So you can pick up this saber, of course. You're supposed to, as I understand it, anyway. But if you go here, there's a whetstone, so plus 10% damage next fight. I did not find this the first time, so it's pretty cool. So I think going forward, I really wanted to just avoid buffing myself like this and whatnot. But my understanding is the game assumes you have the buffs if you if you pick it up later in the story. So obviously Kubel wants to ramp up the difficulty. So even if you're hardcore like me and you're like, nah, I don't need these buffs, you know, consider grabbing them, I think. And it might make your experience a bit better, especially if you're looking to experience the story and not so much. And you don't want to get, you know, so frustrated with everything. So I'm just checking for stuff here. I think you can just sit down here. I don't think there's much to do.
Oho, musi panie Dydyński dziś spryt zastąpi ci szablę. Mój stryj Mikołaj umiera. Na szczęście zostawił testament korzystny dla mnie.
Zatem w czym kłopot, panie Tarnowski?
W tym, że stryj, świeć panie, burzliwy i zmienny był tak za życia, jak i na łożu śmierci. Trzeba go przypilnować, być przy nim, żeby nie zmienił zapisów. Dalsza rodzina chciwa, a krewni, sam waszmość wiesz jak to jest, tylko w ziemi pewniej.
A dlaczego waszmość sam tego nie uczynił?
Nie chcę, aby pojawiły się plotki, że zmusiłem go na łożu śmierci. Jedź waś do siedliska, ja udam się do Sanoka, do Franciszkanów pomodlić się na spokój jego duszy. 500 czerwonych dla ciebie już odliczyłem.
To rozumiem i wyruszam. Dam znać, gdyby stryj odszedł.
Yeah, so really nice cutscene to start off. And you press LT, of course, to gallop. And you get a nice view of the wilderness as you go. I wish you could turn your camera. That's kind of the one thing I don't like here. But don't expect comprehensive, you know, horse mechanics in a game that's about fencing primarily. That's really not what this game's about. Still, this map is really well built. Kind of reminds me of some of the landscapes you see in Canada, actually. So it's really nice to see this. Really forested location, hilly. Not where I'm from so much. You don't really see this hilly stuff where I'm from, but you'd find this more in the east, for example, or some of the hilly parts of the forest in Alberta, that type of thing. But, you know, it's kind of neat to look at. And for what it is, I think Kubel did a great job here, too, as well, to be honest. Yeah, I just really wish you could turn your camera. I'm not the one turning it. It just sort of moves with you. But yeah. And here, there's an obstacle, of course. You come here and you're like, what do I do? Now, this is where the camera turning gets kind of annoying, right? Because you're like, you can't really see the path very clearly. You can see it as you come in, but basically all you gotta do is you just gotta go around. Very classic trope in a lot of adventure games. Something just blocking your path. All the way back to the days of Pokemon, that stuff has been happening, so I don't mind it. It's not like we have to do a puzzle, like a
Stać!
annoying puzzle.
Rozkaz był! Znaczy rozkaz nie przepuszczać!
Odłóż to, bo jeszcze sobie krzywdę jaką zrobisz. Od kogo ten rozkaz?
Od pani Maryny Ludzickiej! To jej ziemię! Jedź inną drogą!
Łżesz, bo to ziemia Tarnawskich. Jadę do pana Mikołaja.
On już nad grobem! Pani Ludzicka tutaj teraz rządzi! Rozkaz był nie wpuszczać!
To
I like how
teraz
he's got
masz
a
nowy
carbine, not a
rozkaz.
full-size like firearm.
Przepuść.
Tak! Tak! Zobaczy sen!
Okay. Now we fight the bandit here. Right to the head. There's. You definitely feel the damage boost, I think, because Jacek is known for speed in his guard, not necessarily power, but it depends on the move you do. Also, I love the pistol draw that he did. It reminds you of a western.
Moje.
Yeah, so far my fencing has been flawless.
A
The
więc
first
nie
time,
tylko
I'll be
ja tak
honest, it
pilnuję
wasn't.
tego całego
It
umierającego
wasn't at
stryja.
all. But anyway, one thing I wanted to say too about the whole setup of the story is like, I really like how like just the whole idea of ensuring that Tarnowski has his inheritance and just the whole setup of it's kind of cool. Because people were really concerned about that type of thing. I mean, even today they are, if you really think about it. But especially back then, like inheriting the assets of a family member and stuff like that. It's ironic that Tarnowski's talking about the other people being greedy, but he himself is being greedy. That's not a plot hole, though. That's the kind of guy he is. He's all about money, right? So it might seem hypocritical at first, but I like what they've done with that for sure. You get a bit of insight into his character, a bit of insight into Jacek as well. And so it's all pretty historically plausible, I think. Like, this sort of thing would have happened in Poland a lot. These sorts of disputes between nobles and bandits and what have you. Sometimes the line between noble and bandit was very small. Very blurred, I should say. But yeah, I really like the way this village looks too. We see some houses here. It kind of reminds me of medieval times actually, but a bit upgraded. And there's a cow there too. Wouldn't have been an uncommon sight. By the way, I'm not an expert on Polish architecture or life in Poland at this time. This is a bit of a blind spot for history for me, despite the fact that I'm really into history in general. So that's worth noting. I might miss some inaccuracies, and that's fine. Learning as we go. Still, I just think overall Kupol has done a great job with the atmosphere here. Seems very believable to me. I don't see anything that stands out as being difficult to believe or far-fetched so far as architecture, so yeah, I really like what he's done so far. And I like that Jacek is also not afraid to use his pistol when things get heated. It's good that firearms are playing a role in the story. They should. After all, this is the 17th century. And it kind of reminds you of a Western, doesn't it? The way he just draws the pistol and fires. It's kind of cool. So you'll come to the right here. You'll see a cart blocking the way. You cannot go that way. You just gotta head straight to the manor. Gotta say, I love the soundtrack too. Even the moments like this, it's well done. This poor guy, he looks,
O, witamy
looks very
pana,
nervous.
witamy. Ja już konia oporządzę, pan spokojny. Walić w krwi trzeba, bo się pozamykali jak przed Tatarami.
Walked in like from the Tartars. Again, it's one of those awkward lines, but that's okay. I know what he's trying to say. It's like, you know, it's as if they're afraid of the Tartars, right? Because that is something you would have been thinking about, especially far in the east of the Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth. So, you know, it's something you would have understood if you were around in those days. Bandages. So some duels in Hellish Quart can be really challenging, especially if you encounter several opponents at once. If you find bandages somewhere, take them with you. Each bandage gives you an extra life point in the next fight. Without them, it could be tough. Yeah, so my understanding is they don't stick with you for the entire story. It's just for the next fight. And Kubold added some more of them. I think in response to some people thinking the game was too difficult or something. I really don't see it. And you might see what I mean as we go, but I just don't see how the game could be too difficult, honestly, at the current state that it's in. I mean, if you think the encounters that we have dealt with so far are difficult, the boss is going to be very difficult, let me tell you. Saber and shield is probably going to be pretty challenging to deal with. I still don't think it'll be as advantageous as far as multiplayer as people think. It's because having the shield means you stand more squared up to protect yourself, and your reach is actually lowered. Being a small destructible shield, it'll also be... There'll be ways to deal with it for sure by finding different angles and whatnot. Going high then low, that type of thing. The nice thing of holding a sword in one hand too is that you can stand more horizontally and really extend your arm, extend your reach. So yeah, I don't think it'll be quite as advantageous as people make it out to be. Anyway, I'm trying to look for these bandages. I think there's one here. There's a little something over there. Yes, so when you walk up to things, thankfully they get highlighted like that. So you can find some bandages there. It's a little bit hidden, but if you have a keen eye, you'll find it, no problem. I didn't know it was there before, so kind of cool to come in and rediscover these things and discover some new things and whatnot. So here is the cutting mini game that Kubold showed us. I hope he makes it a... I don't know, it's kind of... It gets kind of dull after a bit, I suppose, but I'd love to see it as its own mini game, I think. I don't know where you'd put it in the menu, because you don't want to clutter the menu too much, but I'd love to just be able to play it on my own time. Because I remember I did it once, and then there was like, oh no, I can't do any more. I mean, that's a good thing, by the way, 'cause then you'd get ridiculous buffs. So, it's a good thing that you can't do it too much, I suppose, in the context of the story. Okay, so this is what he's doing here is he's cutting from clay. Apparently, clay was the common cutting medium that they used in the Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth specifically, which I find interesting, and I wonder if Hemus would benefit from using this material for practicing cutting, because often the favorite for cheap targets is water bottles, right? Obviously, clay might have its own problems as far as expense, but obviously a lot of fencers prefer the They prefer the tatami mats. Maybe even ballistic gel if you can go that far, but tatami mats are often the favorite. I wonder how clay compares. So I haven't personally cut clay, so. Alright, press the upper right button, right attack button to cut at the target. Pretty simple. But then you gotta line the edge. That's the beauty of this. So the game helps you out a little bit for this first one. And you gotta get the edge alignment just right. I don't know why he's stopping. It's a little tricky, as you can see. I don't know why he's stopping, though. I had the alignment. I don't know if that was a very good cut, unfortunately. That was terrible. Yeah, I'm using the stick for this. I swear I got a few the first time. There you go. Maybe it's easier with the D-pad for more precise movements. That's okay. I know for next time, probably use the D-pad. That's fine. I got the buff earlier of the whetstone. I really don't think... Like, think about it. I got 14% even just for getting that one good cut. And imagine if it was like 4% on top of that, 4% on top of that. Like, I think it gets a little ridiculous. Perhaps. I don't know. Jacek is not a very hard-hitting character, though, so that's worth noting.
Otwierać!
Pan słaby! Gości nie przyjmuje!
Jestem Jacek Dydyński. Mam pilnować twego pana, żeby mu się żadna krzywda nie stała.
Jacek Dydymski. I think I got it right.
Jest w Walkierzu, ale tam już mnich z nim siedzi. Ojciec Farurej na niego mówią.
Polish names. Alright, so there's some bandages here. Again, I don't think I picked any up here. I just sort of walked by as I was kind of rushing through, but now I know better. You shouldn't be rushing through. You just gotta go for it. So I can't go past her, which is fair enough. Just wanted to see if I could or not. Some really nice swords in the wall, too. Obviously, this lord isn't like showing off. Maybe he's a bit of a collector. That wasn't uncommon. People are saying there's no collision here, and it looks like that's still the case, but that's fine. Like, Kubel hasn't really updated it yet, so that'll be fixed, I'm sure. Not a big deal. You expect little things like this in an early access game where the story's not even
Czego
finished
tam,
yet.
duszo zbłąkana? Nie dręcz umierającego.
Ja Dydyński do pana Tarnawskiego. Otwierajże, ojcze
So here we've
Farureju.
met a certain
Pan
someone here.
Tarnawski jedna się z Bogiem. Jestem tu, by
Gone by a
zapewnić
different
mu
name.
spokój i udzielić
But
ostatniego
this is father's
namaszczenia.
era.
Otwieraj, psi synu, bo namaszczenia moją szablą nie wytrzymasz. Słyszysz, stary kpie? Otwieraj!
Wyzywasz mnicha? Tchórzu? Twoje plugawe słowa spływają po mnie jak woda niebieska.
Heavenly water.
Tylko duchowny przekroczy ten próg, a na ciebie spadnie klątwa za ubliżanie zakonnikowi.
I will say, good voice acting by the main cast so far. Zera putting on whoever's playing Zera is putting on a good show. Same with Jacek, same with Tarnowski
Jest jakieś
especially.
inne wejście do Alkierza?
Nie, panie, tylko to.
No, powiedział, że wpuści tylko duchownego.
I think the woman
Jest tu jakiś
actress
inny
though
ksiądz w
could have done a bit of a
okolicy?
better job.
Mnich?
She might be new to it. It's kind of how it
Jest mały
comes across.
klasztor niedaleko. Drogą koło stajni mniej niż pół dnia.
Księdza trzeba? Ojciec Błażej właśnie był
Ale
przecie we
Błażej.
wsi, podatki. Pewno jeszcze go złapiecie, panie, na drodze.
Yeah, poor Yazzie, he doesn't seem happy being sent in this little what seems like a wild goose chase. But I don't blame him. So, I know where you need to go. You just gotta go straight left like that. Ah, so he blocks you off. Okay. Yeah, a lot of games do this. You can't go back. I mean, there's no point. There's probably nothing there, right? So, I mean, if Kubo let you, it would just lead to players wasting their time. So, no, fair enough. Fair enough. I just wanted to see if there was anything else to collect down there, but Kubo's like, don't waste your time. All good. So you just head along this road here. There's not really much up here, but there is a cool little moment coming up. And the story is actually already almost over. It's not that long. This little bit of the story, I should say. Not the story, but you know what I mean.
Zostawcie!
Daj stary sobie! Co tu się dzieje? Powiedział padło popa jak skopa. Matka boska talarów mniejszej skrzyni nie potrzebuje.
So I just love that he's waving that stick around.
Dobry człowieku!
Nie jestem ani jednym, ani drugim. Braciszku.
By the way, I like the detail that he fired his pistol earlier and he hasn't bothered to reload it, so he doesn't bother using it. A lot of Hollywood movies would have him shoot his pistol out of nowhere. Oh, Kubel seemed to change how this fight works too. That's a shame. At least I think he did. Maybe the bandages are... Yeah, you know what? I think the bandages are actually changing the way the flags work. Because before, the way it worked was, essentially... Oh, yeah, that thrust missed. But essentially the way it worked was you had 5 flags. Like, the enemy had 5 lives, I should say. But, as you can see, it's actually 3 here for some reason. So I'm not sure why that is. Ah. Yeah, this is Gideon, you gotta remember. So you can't just do these little tippy-tap snap cuts. If he approaches you, you gotta respect his blade. That's alright, we got extra bandages, so it really makes no difference. Though I think this is my last life here, so I gotta be a bit careful. Oh no, so they increased back to 5. I might be misremembering. That's totally fair. A bit misleading though. It's like the second phase of a boss fight. I like it. Barabash is very formidable there, and I think a double means I lose. Yes, in this case it means I lose. Okay, so I think you still keep your bandages though, so that's interesting. Yeah, so the flags with the bandages under represent those. Really not the best Jacek player, so that doesn't help either. I'm kind of... Nice, so that's a good combo. You get a quick snap cut in and you come right back around for the X cut. Probably works really well against Gideon. Alright, let's try and end this quickly. I think this is a 3-skull AI. The 3-skull AI seems much more fun to fight than it used to be. Ack. Can't be doubling. I know some people might not... Oh dear. Might not like the fact that doubling is disadvantageous to you, but... The way I look at it is this. In fencing, your goal is to stay alive. It is not just to make sure your opponent's dead. So, I like that dynamic. Because let's face it, if the protagonist dies, then what then? You have to restart, right? That's not a good thing. There's no story if the protagonist is dead, so... Even just look at it like that, you know? And, Barabash is actually a very formidable character, so... And I'm not very good at Fiazlet, so... thought that thrust hit. Interesting. Yeah, maybe that move will work really well. Should probably try a bit of his other stance as well. He's doing a lot of cuts out of measure. Just gotta let him swing now. He blocks it somehow. That's funny. Alright, let's finish this. This is getting a little bit tedious, but not in a bad way. Double. It's funny, I was talking about how perfect my fencing was, but now I'm just getting hit a lot. If I was Alexander, I'd probably be destroying the AI really easily. So it's kind of nice that I have to practice a new character. And it seems like I'll have to for the story about Father Zera, which we saw earlier, and Jakub. I think that's how you pronounce it in Polish. That's actually my name too, funny enough. Just not spelt like that or pronounced like that. Okay, so the upcut. Okay. Oh yeah. There we go. I forgot he has the old one too as well. That's a good option, of course, if you want to end your opponent quickly. There's some quick attacks. So, or this is Barabash, as we know,
Uciekaj do matki!
and he is spared.
Diabelski synu.
Brawo, rycerzu! Nawet
Interesting. So
najmarniejsze
Risser, I
stworzenie
think,
ma prawo żyć.
for knight.
Zwłaszcza,
kind of
że
like
nie
Ritter
my
in German.
mu życie daliśmy.
Just interesting little tidbit of the
Cóż cię
language.
jednak trapi?
Farurej. Mnich, który zagradza drogę do umierającego pana Tarnawskiego. Zostałem wysłany, by być przy nim w ostatniej godzinie.
Farurej! Benedyktyn, żaden on mnich! To człowiek przeklęty, nie boi się ani Boga, ani diabła.
Love that detail too. Fears neither
Mówi,
the
że
God, neither
jest
the
gdzie?
Christian
U pana
God or the devil.
Tarnawskiego, w siedliskach. Spróbuję ci pomóc, zabierz mnie tam.
Okay, so that's the end of the story. I got 100 ducats this time. I got 300 the last time, so it might be a little bit random. Might be based on your performance, I don't know. But yeah, so I like some of the changes Kubal's made here. And it's good that he makes you go back to the 5th fight again. I was a bit worried about that he changed something based on criticism that I don't agree with from somebody on Steam, but it's all good. He didn't. And honestly, I would not be opposed to adding an easy mode if that is a concern going forward. Yeah, but just a normal or hard mode for those of us who are happy with how it is would be good as well. But if he does that, but I think it's good that the bandages are a thing, because you could argue then that's your easy mode, you know? You just gotta work for it a little bit. And I like that mindset that Kubal added. So honestly, Kubal would probably be well served even just to keep it the way it is too. So I like going around getting those collectibles. That's what makes the whole walking sequence, you know, worth doing. It's worth looking around, worth potentially talking to people. I hope that's a bit of a thing, even if it's just text. Even if it's not though, just looking for Easter eggs, looking for items, that type of thing is a lot of fun. I might have even missed something in this whole thing still, but I think I got all the bandages I could. Anyway, that's it for the story, and that's it for the video. I don't want to make this any longer than it needs to be. But keep an eye out for new parts. I'll react to them live going forward. And yeah, it should be a lot of fun for sure. And I'll try not to talk over the cutscenes too much, because at that point they'll be new to me, so I want to hear them as well. Anyway, I'll see you all next time.